Russian rocket attacks shock Ukrainian civilians. The Russians are using deadly multiple launch rocket system attacks in surrounding cities such as Kharkiv where civilians are being targeted. This is spreading terror with people across Ukraine witnessing horrifying attacks that are taking their toll on non-combatants. The Russian Tornado is one such multiple launch rocket system that is unleashing destruction and inflicting heavy casualties against civilians. These attacks have resulted in a war crimes investigation by the International Criminal Court. Rocket barrages started early. Rocket attacks started at the beginning of the war. One target was a residential area in Kharkiv where 9 people died and 37 were wounded, including the deaths of 3 children on February 28. The mayor of Kharkiv, Ihor Terikov, was aghast. "Today we had a very difficult day. It showed us that it's not just a war, this is a massacre of Ukrainian people," Terikov said on a messaging app in an interview with The Guardian. The rockets hit residential buildings, killing and injuring peaceful civilians. Kharkiv has not seen such damage for a very long time. "And this is horrible," he said. "New Tornado S is particularly scary. One system that can cause this type of destruction is the Tornado S, which is itself an upgrade over the lethal BM-30 Smerch multiple rocket launcher. The Tornado S has a better range and accuracy compared to the Smerch system. The Tornado S is that much more fearsome because its rockets have an altimeter fuse. This allows the rocket to detonate above the ground, raining explosive fragments and shrapnel that can rip apart a building, vehicle, or person. It can also hit moving targets. The baseline Tornado has been in service since 2014 and the Tornado S will be a substantial upgrade that will replace the BM-27 Uragan multiple rocket launcher in the coming years. Baseline Tornado deliver doom. The current Tornado fires 300 mm rockets. The 8x8 truck-mounted system is highly mobile with a lighter chassis. It can fire several types of rockets with warheads such as high explosive fragmentary, cluster, and the horrifying thermobaric flamethrower weapon. The rockets are 25 feet long and weigh 1,763 pounds. Their range is 43 miles, so that size and strike radius gives you an idea of how much damage they can cause. The Tornado needs only 2 soldiers to operate the system. They can initiate a launch sequence within minutes after stopping without leaving the inside of the vehicle. Civilian casualties are shocking the international community. A rocket attack this week destroyed a television tower in Kyiv that resulted in 5 dead civilians. Meanwhile, Kharkiv endured another deadly rocket bombardment on a neighborhood, opera house, and a government building that killed at least 19. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is becoming frustrated with the rocket attacks that are killing non-combatants. "This attack on Kharkiv is a war crime," he tweeted. "This is state terrorism of the Russian Federation. After that, Russia is a terrorist state. We demand full responsibility for terrorists in international courts. Rocket attacks spur war crime investigation. The International Criminal Court is taking these rocket attacks against non-combatants seriously. The ICC is conducting an investigation into Russian war crimes. Karim Khan, the chief prosecutor of the ICC, explained, "We'll be able to expedite the investigatory process because 39 countries have already referred complaints of war crimes to the ICC. Russia will likely continue to use multiple launch rocket attacks against civilians. The Tornado family of rocket launchers is particularly deadly. Look for more rocket attacks to hit Kharkiv, Mariupol, and especially Kyiv if it becomes surrounded by the Russians in the coming weeks." At least 11 people have been killed by Russian rocket attacks on the eastern Ukrainian city of Kharkiv, according to Ukrainian officials. Regional Administration Chief Oleg Senegabov said Russian artillery had pounded residential districts of the city, even though no Ukrainian army positions or strategic infrastructure were there. At least 11 people had been killed, he said on Monday. Earlier, Ministry of Interior Affairs advisor Anton Heroshenko said dozens of people were killed in the attacks on the city in Ukraine's northeast, near the separatist-held regions of Luhansk and Donetsk, more than 400 kilometers, 250 miles, from Kyiv. Kharkiv has just been massively fired upon by grads, rockets. Dozens of dead and hundreds of wounded, he wrote in a Facebook post. There was no immediate comment from Moscow. Al Jazeera was unable to independently verify the death toll. Secondary explosions. Al Jazeera's Jonah Hull, reporting from the city of Lviv, in western Ukraine, said the reports of deadly Russian attacks on densely populated civilian areas were disturbing. There are lots of pictures, circulating on social media, showing explosions and suggestions that Grad rocket fire has been used, others that bombs have been dropped by the air, and there are lots of videos showing flashes that indicate secondary explosions, and the use of cluster munitions in amongst all of that, said Hull. Elsewhere, there was a relative lull in the capital Kyiv where supermarkets were reopened and residents allowed out of bomb shelters and homes for the first time since a curfew was imposed on Saturday. Meanwhile, the strategic port city of Mariupol was hanging on, according to Oleksiy Arestovich, an advisor of Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. Russian news agency Interfax reported that Russian troops advanced from the southern Ukrainian city of Kherson towards the city of Mykolaiv. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian State Communication Service said in a post on Telegram that a missile had hit a residential building in the Ukrainian city of Chernihiv near the border with Belarus. Ukraine's state energy company Energodom dismissed claims by Russia that its troops had taken control of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant as fake news. Currently, all 4 nuclear power plants are under the control of Ukraine and are operating normally. Details of the military developments could not be independently verified. Kharkiv resistance. The deaths in Kharkiv came a day after the Ukrainian troops repelled a significant Russian attack on the city on Sunday. Videos posted on Ukrainian media and social networks showed Russian vehicles moving across the city of about 1.4 million people and a light vehicle burning on the street. Later on Sunday, the regional governor, Oleh Senegabov, wrote on Facebook that the Ukrainian forces regained full control over the country's second-largest city. Control over Kharkiv is completely ours. The armed forces, the police, and the defense forces are working, and the city is being completely cleansed of the enemy, he said. The exact death toll of Ukraine's Russian invasion is unclear, but the UN human rights chief said 102 civilians have been killed and hundreds wounded, warning that figure was likely a vast undercount. Ukraine's Interior Ministry reported 352 civilian deaths, including 14 children, as of Sunday night. More than 500,000 people have fled the country since the invasion, another UN official said on Monday, among the millions who have left their homes.